of good governance, human rights, rule of law, and freedom of religion were being restricted. And the space was being restricted, and because it was being restricted and not upholding the core values of Commonwealth, both the Prime Minister and Minister John Baird declined the invitation to go to Commonwealth. However, I was told I represented Canada. There were twofold visits to this thing. One was to get information from the ground as to what was happening, and the other one was, of course, representing Canada at the Commonwealth Conference. So I arrived a couple of days earlier in Sri Lanka. I met, I cannot, of course, say whom I met due to security reasons, but I did meet a lot of people from civil society, from human rights, from others, to get a first-hand information as to what was happening in Sri Lanka. Basically, they all pointed out to the fact that yes, there was an erosion of democratic principles, of the Commonwealth principles, most importantly human rights, democracy, and freedom of religion. They are being under attack in Sri Lanka. And at the same time, the inability of the government to uphold these principles, these incidences that were taking place. Following that, the Sri Lankan government had said that they were shutting down flights to Jaffna due to security reasons, as they said it. Well, I decided that I was going to drive, so I drove 8 hours to Jaffna. In due respect, the Sri Lankan government did provide me with police escort to Jaffna. I went to Jaffna and I had a meeting there with the bishop, with the chief minister of Jaffna, as well as the Tamil newspaper that has been under attack. In meeting with all of these three, it was very clear that there was not much progress yet being made on the fact of reconciliation. An opportunity has been very strongly granted with the election of the new chief minister in Sri Lanka, and it is time that the Sri Lankan government seizes that opportunity. It is there. The people of Jaffna have made their choice very clear in the electoral that took place, that that party was going to represent their interest. In talking with the chief minister, he informed me that while he was the chief minister, the space was still restricted for him to make decisions due to the governor, who was controlling most of the decision-making process. And the governor was, of course, the former military commander. While I was there, the TNP made a call for this governor to be replaced by another governor, which I think is the right call, to be replaced by a civil. The point that Canada made was that now that Sri Lanka is going to become a chair of an organization that has very core principal values, and that those values were not being held, it was not possible for Canada to participate at that given time. So we withdrew from the ministerial contact group of Chogan. On my way back, I laid a wreath. The wreath was for all innocent victims that have been killed in Sri Lanka since the conflict started. Okay? And by that, I'm very clear. It was all innocent victims of all Sri Lankans that were killed in the conflict. And I laid the wreath at the Elephant Pass because we wanted to be a neutral place. There are erosion of core principles. The Muslim mosques have been attacked. The journalists have been killed. The people are afraid, and I don't understand why people would be afraid in a country where it's a democratic election and a government has received a democratic mandate. The government should be very, very thoroughly open up, and we're doing. But I just seem to find it pretty strange. The violation of these principles of Commonwealth, or not violations, let me say the restriction of the space in this thing, is not going to go. It is the elephant in the room, the human rights issue. As you know, Prime Minister Cameron, who also visited Jaffna, with whom I had a lengthy discussion, also said, that if Sri Lankan government is not going to hold an inquiry, an international committee, it is an elephant in the room, the human rights abuses and all these things. It is best for the Sri Lankan government to address these issues. It cannot hide under the carpet. It's not going to be hidden under the carpet. Okay, the international community is going to seek answers. And it is the government of Sri Lanka has a democratic mandate, and for that it needs to exercise that mandate. You cannot have, like in the case up in the north, you have a chief minister who has received a good mandate to carry on, and who is extremely, in my view, very impressive, willing to help and willing to move forward. This is the seek that they have to seek this opportunity. Canada has called for an independent, credible inquiry, okay, that be held to address these concerns. That has been Canada's position, and we expect the Sri Lankan government to create a credible, transparent accountability of that report. And while the matter will come at the UN Human Rights Commission, it is hopeful that by that time Sri Lankan government will have moved forward. There was a restriction of the democratic principles held by Commonwealth, which is intimidation, and this to me seems pretty strange, considering a government has won an electoral mandate. Why it would be afraid, and why would it, while I'm not saying the government is embarking on it, why would there not be inquiries? Okay, so let's say in the case when I went up north to this Tamil newspaper, where many journalists have been killed, and where I was sitting at the bullet holes in the office, okay, and there's no protection provided, okay, no investigation done, okay, nothing of these things are done. Why? I mean, says here is people killed, here is bullet wounds and bullet holes in this newspaper. So there's clear indication that newspaper was under attack. Okay, so why was there no inquiry done? The same thing in Colombo. Every time people speak against the government, there seems to be a lack of fear. Why would there be a lack of fear in a democratic country? You see, it's as simple as that.